Okay, sir, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. We'll call the meeting to order and ask for the calling of the roll, please.
Okay, Mayor Edie,
Present.
Reeve Iman,
Present.
Councillor Koulis,
Present.
Councillor Evans, Councillor Hines,
Present.
Councillor Jameson,
Present.
Councillor Sidney.
Present.
Okay, sir, all present.
Okay. Okay, first motion, that Jason Healy, on behalf of McKilligan Associates, appear before council to present the 2019 financial statements. I further that Renfrew Town Council received and adopt the 2019 financial statements as prepared and presented by McKilligan and Associates. Need a mover, please. Councillor Jameson, second by Councillor Hines. Turn it over to Mr. Healy for his report.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
I'd like to thank council for the opportunity to present the draft consolidated statements for the town of Renfrew. I'd just like to remind everybody that these statements will remain in draft format until such time as they're approved by council. So if everyone has the financial statements, I'm going to turn to the second page. There's no page number on it, but it's entitled "The Management's Responsibility for the Consolidated Financial Statements." And I'm just going to go over this in the audit report and then kind of hit the highlights of the financial statements. And if anybody has any questions, please let me know and I'll be happy to answer them as best I can. So on the management responsibility for the consolidated financial statements, it points out that the financial statements are the responsibility of the town's management and that they're prepared in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. We can turn to page number 1, entitled "The Independent Auditor's Report." I will review the report with you, the various paragraphs. The first paragraph, the opinion paragraph, probably the most important one. It identifies whose financial statements have been audited. In this case, again, it's the consolidated financial statements of the town of Renfrew. And the consolidated statements include, on a note 1AI, it lists all the entities included in these statements, which are the town of Renfrew, the town of Renfrew Waterworks, the town of Renfrew Wastewater System, Renfrew Public Library Board, and the Renfrew Downtown Business Improvement Association. So this opinion paragraph states our conclusion based on the results of our audit. It's a stated opinion rather than a statement of absolute fact or guarantee. This conclusion is based on our professional judgment. And in this case, we believe the consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects. The report also indicates the date covered by each of the financial statements, which is the 31st of December, 2019. On to the next paragraph, the basis for our opinion paragraph. It states that the opinion is in accordance with the Canadian generally accepted auditing standards. It also states that we are independent in accordance with our ethical requirements to the town of Renfrew. On the next paragraph, the responsibility of management and those charged with governance for the financial statements. This section points out the auditor's report describes the responsibility of those in the organization who are responsible for the presentation or the preparation of the financial statements. And then the auditor's responsibility for the audited financial statements states that, again, as auditors, our responsibilities to obtain reasonable assurance that these consolidated financial statements are free from material misstatement. We can go on to the actual statements themselves. On page number 2, the consolidated financial statement of financial position. Again, I'll kind of go over the highlights and the changes from year over year. And if you have questions, please feel free to ask. So we'll note that on the top, the financial assets, that the total financial assets have increased by 4.1 million and made up of the following changes. So cash is actually up 5.8 million from last year. And on page on page number 5, there's a detailed analysis of the statement of cash flow that kind of goes through that change in detail. Accounts receivable is down 2.1 million from last year, and it's made up of 2 major reasons. Last year, there were some capital grants receivable from Ontario, which explains about $1.3 million of the decrease. And there's also a $671,000 decrease in due from Canada, and due mainly to the HST being lower at this year end as opposed to prior year end. due to the fact that last year we had some construction works and we had a bigger HST claim at the end of the year. The investment in government business enterprises has increased by $386,000, and this is made up of income from rent for power generation of $310,000, net of the distributions paid to the town, income from rent for hydro of $132,000, and there was a loss on the innovation center of $56,000, and that makes up our $386,000 difference. And on the liability side, our financial liabilities have increased $3 million, and the breakdown is as follows. The payables are actually up $983,000 due to, in part, there's two factors to this. So there's a $3 million increase in the construction loan from Infrastructure Ontario for the temporary financing for Highway 60 downtown, and that increases $3 million, and there's a decrease in payables, trade payables of 2.2, and again, that's due to the fact that at the end of last year, we had more capital works ongoing at the end of the year, and the two offset to make up the increase of the $980,000 approximately. There's also a $129,000 increase in the obligatory reserve fund, and this is mainly due to the increase in gas tax at year end. And other deferred revenue is up $1.4 million due to increase in deferred revenue associated with OCEF of $634,000 and an Ontario modernization grant of $678,000. Also, there's an increase in long-term debt of $513,000, and this is due to the fact that we had a new loan for landfill equipment of $998,000, and less the scheduled debt repayments during the year brought it down to an increase of $513,000. This leaves the town with net financial assets of $2.2 million. So the financial assets less the financial liabilities, and that's a $1 million increase over last year. And on the non-financial asset side, so the tangible capital assets have decreased $1.3 million. And this is due to the amortization exceeding the capital assets additions during the year. So that leaves the town overall with an accumulated surplus of just under $106 million, which is pretty close to last year. I would like to also note too that in the municipal equity section, that the reserves have increased by just over $2 million from last year. Did anybody have any questions on the consolidated statement of financial position? Okay, I don't see any, so I'm gonna, something comes later, just please feel free to interrupt me. I'll move on to page number 3, the consolidated statement of operations. Again, I'll kind of go over the highlights here. So overall, the revenues are down $4.8 million from prior year. This is mainly due to the provincial grants, as there were, last year was higher than normal because we had a lot of capital works ongoing that increased the provincial grants from the government. And the current year provincial revenue is actually less than budget, but that's because we had a portion of that revenue was deferred at year end, again, relating to the modernization and the OC grant. The federal grants are $250,000 less than budget, and again, that explains the increase in the deferred revenue there. So, and then the income for government business enterprises, that's not budgeted for, neither is the loss of disposal of assets, on disposal of assets, excuse me, which is pretty similar to last year. And then the expense, on the expense side, most of the items there are pretty consistent with last year and with budget amounts. So overall, there was a consolidated shortfall of revenues over expenses of just under $240,000, again, which is mainly due to the decrease on the revenue side. And does anybody have any questions on this consolidated statement of operations? Okay, well, I'll move on to page number 16, which is the schedule of general operations. So this excludes some of the stuff in the consolidated statement of operations. It might be more similar to what you're used to seeing on a monthly basis kind of thing. And overall, there's a shortfall of revenue over expenses of 511 on this statement. And, there was amounts being made up with a transfer from investment in tangible capital assets of $1.8 million, amounts transferred to reserves of $873,000, and amounts transferred to the library of $492,000. So that the net transfers wipe out and it comes to zero, excess revenue over expenses, as it does every year. The town has policy to transfer any surplus, general surplus or deficits to from reserves. Does anybody have any questions on the general operations? Okay, I'd just like to point out the other little statements that we do issue an audit report on. So on page 20 is the library, and we found that, again, like the town, the consolidated town of Renfrew statements, that they've presented fairly in all material respects. On page 26 was the BIA, presented fairly in all material respects. On page 31 was the Stewart Bequest Trust, which again presented fairly in all material respects. On page 35 was the Renfrew Parks and Recreation Fundraising Committee, again presented fairly in all material respects. And finally, the Town of Renfrew Swimming Pool Trust, presented fairly in all material respects. Did anybody have any questions on any of the statements?
Questions, council? Looks like they might let you off easy.
If that's the case, I'd just like to thank the town staff for their assistance during the audit this year. It was a little more difficult than other years, as I'm sure you guys are going through the same thing with COVID, and we did the audit remotely. So I just wanted to pass along my appreciation to the town and staff for their assistance.
Well done again, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
There's no further questions. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Healy.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, the next motion, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held electronically on October 27, 2020 be adopted as printed. Mover, please. Councillor Hines, seconded by Revimo. Okay, any questions or comments on the minutes? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Carried. That the minutes of the special meeting of council held electronically on October the 28th, 2020 be adopted as printed. And mover, please. Councillor Jemison, seconded by Revimo. Okay, any questions or comments on these? All in favor? Carried. Okay, that's a communication from the city of Clarence, Rockland, dated October 22nd, 2020, requesting that the regulations governing the establishment of cannabis retail stores be amended to instruct the Alcohol and Gaming Commission, AGCO, to consider over concentration as an evaluation criterion and provide added weight to the comments of a new municipality concerning matters in the public interest when considering the application of new stores be received and supported. Yeah, mover, please. Councillor Hines, second by Councillor Koulis. Any questions or comments on this? Councillor Hines.
Yes, Your Worship, I am pleased to see this before us. I think this is something that is lacking in their in the work that they've done and how they're managing providing permission for these stores to exist and not even taking into consideration municipal thoughts or feelings on it. So I'm happy to see this going forward, and I'm more than.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. With the communication from Renfrew area Put Christ Back into Christmas Committee dated October the 30th, 2020, regarding the placement of a life-size Christmas nativity scene in Low Square be received and approved. Further, that town staff be directed to work with representatives from the Renfrew and area Put Christ Back into Christmas Committee to accommodate their various requests. Need a mover, please. Councillor Jamison, second by Councillor Evans. Again, any questions or comments on this? I have a comment. I'm really glad they're doing that this year. I think it's something that's quite safe. There's not a whole lot of people around it. They're not going to be having the service or anything, but it's been a Renfrew tradition for many, many years, and I'm glad that they're going ahead and doing it. Really am. All in favor? Carried. Okay. That the minutes from the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held October the 6th, 2020 be received. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, seconded by
Oh, I lost her again.
Councillor Koulis. I turn it over to Councillor Hines for her report, but I'm not too sure she's not frozen.
I am.
We can hear you, Councillor Hines, I believe, so if you would like to go ahead.
Oh,
You're muted if that means anything.
Yeah, you're muted for sure.
Okay, sir, did you want to come back to it when she comes back online?
Just remember, we have a mover and a seconder, whatever on that already. So we'll go to the next motion. That the minutes from the Finance Committee meeting held October 30th, 2020 be received. Mover, please. Revimo, seconded by Councillor Sidney. Okay. A lot of this that's on this committee meeting is going to be later on in the agenda, so I won't go over that. The procurement policy, the meeting was to be held on November the 5th. Unfortunately, somebody forgot about it, and so it didn't get held. That's somebody being me. So it's going to be done tomorrow afternoon at 1:30. Making me work on almost a holiday. We have Provincial Funding, which is going to be coming up later, the OPP contract later, whatever. Draft budgets, equipment and other is just nice to be able to see it on there that we have a set amount of money we put into the budget every year, so that no borrowing was required to finance the $806,900 in planned expenditures over the next 10 years. So we already have that in place, so that's not going to be a huge tax or any huge tax increase. It's the same thing with the rolling stock. We have a set amount of money that we put in every year. And again, they're not going to have to increase taxes to pay for that capital budget of $4.1 million. Bad debt write-off, that's coming later on the agenda. The purchase of the server is coming later. Innovation Center financial statements, August 20th, 2020. I've seen them, but I don't see them with this one. But anyway, the Renfrew Hydro promissory note is, again, we're talking about that on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. That's about it. Are there any questions? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Is Councillor Hines back yet?
Not yet, sir.
Okay. And we'll go on to the next item, which that the minutes of the Human Resources Committee meeting held October 29th, 2020 be received. Need a mover, please. Revimo, seconded by Councillor Jamison. Turn over to Revimo for the report.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to council. Thank you. We had a meeting on October 29th. I'll move you down through to item number on the second page. We moved out of closed session and we reported that we considered a request from the Public Works General Foreman to carry over unused vacation and banked overtime hours to 221 as part of his retirement plan, and after due consideration to the employment agreement and the special circumstances, it was approved. And you'll see the direction. The employee will not use the overtime bank during this winter to advance his last workday earlier than originally planned, and that he will be available until the end of 2021 in the event of an emergency. And that was all the business we conducted that evening.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay. The bylaw 78/2020 being the bylaw to authorize an agreement to grant access through a licensed permit hunt on property owned by the town of Renfrew be read a first time and deemed to have been read a second time. Mover, please. Revimo, seconded by Councillor Jamison. Any questions or comments on this? Revimo.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and through you again to council. I think when you take a look at the license, if you will, on the back, the agreement, it's pretty complete, and it pertains only to this land because, as you're aware, there are no other lands in the town that can be hunted upon. And then secondly, we recognize, I think, and part of the conversation with council at the last committee meeting, or the last council meeting, was that there have been people hunting on that land for a number of years, and this is a means of recognizing who is hunting on it and promoting some safety, and then also managing our liability, because part of it would be the parcel is small enough that whoever has the license to hunt on it or the agreement probably isn't going to be able to share it with anybody else. And so it's a means of looking after our property as well.
Anything else? For Councillor Koulis.
This property again is where?
It'd be across the highway towards the Won't River. Piece of land that the town owns on the other side of 417.
At O'Brien Road intersection, that piece you mean? That the piece?
Yeah, they pace past O'Brien Road on the other side.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, the bylaw 78/2020 being a bylaw to authorize an agreement to grant access through a license permit to hunt on property owned by the town of Renfrew be read a first time. Second here. Okay, be read a third time and be passed. Over, please. Revimo, second by Councillor Jamison. All in favor? Carried. The Treasurer Riley's report dated October the 5th, 2020 concerning the OPP municipal policing agreement be received. Further, that Jeff Scott, Chair of the Renfrew Police Services Board, appear before council to speak to the agreement. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, second by Reeve Amo. We'll turn it over to Mr. Scott, please. You're on mute, Mr. Scott.
Okay.
Good now.
Okay, good evening, Your Worship and members of council. As you know, the contract for the OPP is up for renewal, and the Police Service Board, basically, we have talked about it and gone over it. We find it in line, and would like to see a council go into a 5-year agreement with the OPP for policing. I think at one of your meetings, I was not able to attend, but Sandy Hines at the meeting was talking about a Section 10 and a Section 5 contract. There's quite a difference in a Section 10. We're a Section 10 because we have a police service board, which most municipalities our size in Ontario would have. And there's a lot of benefits to a Section 10. If you did away with the Section 10, you wouldn't have a police service board, you'd go into a Section 5. Under a Section 10, you do receive a lot of grants that you would not be receiving if you went into a Section 5, like the RIDE program grant, which is thousands of dollars a year to help the RIDE programs. The situational table grant we received 3 years ago, which is ongoing. The community well-being program grant, which we just received to get it started, which was around $30,000. We've got DARE program grants. Right now, we've just applied for a grant to work with downtown MTO flags on the post. So there's a lot of benefits to a Section 10 and having a police service board. Any questions I could go on with?
Any questions, council? Okay, that's pretty simple. I'm sorry, Councillor Sidney.
I just wanted to point out that being on the Police Services Board last term, and I know how we did a lot of work, and the Police Services Board did a lot of work on the 911 calls and making sure people understood all that. It's nice to see a 1.6% estimated decrease in the cost, which is nice to see. So a job well done for the Police Services Board on that. I think it helps with the educating the public and making sure that people call 911 for the right reasons.
That's right. That's one of our major problems. We're trying to educate the people, as you know, Tom, and remember, is on the 911 calls, when to use them, when not to use them, because as a pay-as-you-go type service, it can add up very costly.
Yeah, so job well done.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Councillor Hines, are you back with us? You look like you're frozen again. Froze right up solid.
It's a Canadian winter.
Jeff, take her run over there, wake her up.
Okay, we have her on the phone, sir.
Okay.
Sorry about that. My
Oh, we're laughing at you. We're laughing at you, Councillor Hines.
Laughing with you.
that's
Hey.
annoying.
Sir, did you want Treasurer O'Reilly to review his report, or are you just going to receive it?
I think, Your Worship, you still had Councillor Hines on the hook for her planning report.
I do. We do have more on the agreement with the OPP, so maybe we can call Treasurer O'Reilly then. So let's get back to the planning advisory committee meeting. We have a mover and a seconder, and we're just going to turn it over to Councillor Hines for a report. So if you're able to do that, go ahead, Councillor Hines. You're on mute.
Now am I okay?
You're there now, yeah.
Okay. I believe this report was a Committee of Adjustment report, not planning.
It says the Planning Advisory Committee.
Okay.
Sorry, sir, I made a mistake on the motions. It's a Committee of Adjustments.
Well, I guess I'm supposed to be doing the talking. Okay.
Sir, did you hear me? I made a mistake on the,
I did.
it is,
Yeah,
okay, perfect.
Yeah, we did have an application that was recommended for Riding Street South, a minor variance. It had to do with parking, which the old building right beside the post office. And so they applied for to go ahead and use the building and to do it. And one of the conditions is they have no parking spots. But that's true of that whole corner there. There's no parking spots for anybody on, I guess what we call the old Hanford building. So that passed. There's also a minor variance on Lisker Avenue. That's to do with property. Trying to figure out what the name is here. It used to be Yokowski's yard, and they're building there to hold some stuff in and whatever. And anyway, that passed. Really, the bottom part of it was that what passed was to increase the maximum accessory building the structure height from 4.5 meters to 11 meters and permit the use of shipping containers for additional storage integrated as part of the proposed accessory structure. So that passed. That's what all there was on that meeting. Any comments? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay. The bylaw 79/2020 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement with Her Majesty the Queen in the right of Ontario as represented by the Solicitor General for the provision of police services to the town of Renfrew by the Ontario Provincial Police for the years 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025 be read a first time and deemed to have been read a second time. A mover, please. Councillor Evans, second by Reeve Emo. Maybe we'll ask Treasurer O'Reilly if he wants to give us a report on this.
Thank you, Mayor Eady. Just quickly to supplement the comments made by Mr. Scott with respect to the Police Service Board. The Appendix 2 to the report outlines the advantages at a high level of a Section 10 versus a 5.1 agreement. But Mr. Scott did a great job of highlighting the grant structure that's available only if you have a Police Service Board. In the absence of that, those special grants are not available to the municipality. Having said that, and it was pointed out by Councillor Sidney, the policing proposal for 2021 is actually a 1.6% decrease from the 2020 amount. There was a motion at a recommendation, out of the Finance Committee that the difference, not like the budget not be reduced, but in fact held the same so that the difference be transferred to a reserve in the event that the actual costs come in somewhat different. And the reason I say that is if you look at the bottom of the second page of the report, for the last 5 years, it's shown what the original estimate was on a cost per property basis. And for the 3 reconciled years, the costs were, for the last 2 years, substantially higher than what the original estimates were. For example, in 2018, the estimate was $458.97 per property, and the actual cost was $463. And in 2019, the estimate was $466.99, and the actual cost was $475. So, you know, when they do their actual reconciliation, which is sort of 2 years in arrears, there's always that. That's why we maintain the OPP reserve so that we can smooth those fluctuations over the course of the contract. As the bylaw mentioned, it is for 5 years. The thought process there from the Finance Committee and from the Police Service Board was to not have the contract expire either at the very beginning or in the year of an election. So looking ahead beyond the election in 2022, the following one would be 2026. So you don't want the contract expiring in 2026 because either an outgoing decision or an incoming decision. And so therefore, the end of 2025 is the term that's been suggested. Also referenced earlier was the number of calls for service on the top of page 3 of my report. you can see that we've been fairly consistent year over year, that starting in 2016, we had 2,281 calls, 2,253, 2,272, 2,276. So it's a pretty consistent number year over year. The type of call has varied, as has been mentioned. The number of 911 missed dials or pocket dials has decreased, but other calls for service have increased. And really, that's the type of reporting that goes to the police service board. So they can see by the type of call where the changes are taking, and then they can provide direction to the detachment commander to start focusing in areas to try to address the slight increase in any of those call areas. And that's about all I wanted to say about it. The report has been before you for a while, and it's now the bylaw there for your consideration.
Okay, any questions? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay, the bylaw 79/2020 being the bylaw to authorize execution of agreement with Her Majesty the Queen in the right of Ontario as represented by the Solicitor General for the provision of police services to the town of Renfrew by the Ontario Provincial Police for the years 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025 be read a third time and be passed. Over, please. Emo, seconded by Councillor Hines. Again, any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next motion, the Treasurer O'Reilly's report dated November the 6th concerning write-off uncollectible account receivable be received. Mover, please. Councillor Jemison, second by Reeve Emo. Turn it over to Treasurer O'Reilly for his report.
Thank you again, Mayor Eadie. This is an item that has to come before council when it's writing off of a bad debt account of a certain magnitude. The account in consideration here is just over $16,000. The circumstances are such that the company that was that had an account with the town of Renfrew declared or filed for bankruptcy protection in July of 2019. At that point in time, the net amount owing to the town was $16,314.52. I say the net amount because the company was providing services for the town of Renfrew and also purchasing services from the town of Renfrew. And the net amount was that the company owed the town $16,000. In 2019, given the uncertainty of the collection, it was clear from the initial documents from the trustee for the bankruptcy that there wasn't going to be much in the way of assets available for distribution, and the lengthy list of creditors was substantial. So in 2019, an allowance for doubtful accounts was established in the landfill section of the financial statements that basically you set it up as an expense. So it's the first part of the step. The second step is to actually write the account right off the books as being completely uncollectible. You don't even bother trying to follow up on it. And the reason that's being brought forward now is that earlier this month, I received the notice of final dividend, which is through the court system, that basically says, okay, the trustee has done everything they can with the bankruptcy. The assets were disposed of, the cash realized, and then in order of priority payment, the net assets were distributed, the cash was distributed. And first in line is the federal government, and the amount owing to the federal government exceeded the amount of cash available. So there was nothing else available for anyone else. There is not a chance that the town will receive a penny in this account. And so therefore I'm recommending that the account be written right off the books. On page 2 of my report, you get a sense for, more from a procedure perspective, the council can get a sense of how we deal with our, we have many of these type of accounts with local contractors and local business people that, whether it's a roofer or a construction gentleman that's doing work in the town of Renfrew, so they can access the landfill on a regular basis, but don't have to carry a credit card or cash with them all the time. We allow them to establish accounts. And so we do bill monthly. If when we go to do the next month's bill, if the company hasn't paid the previous month's bill, of course, they get one of those nasty past due stickers. And after 60 days, their account is in fact suspended, so that we just notify the people at the landfill site through engineering officer or environmental engineering officer Armstrong that a company's account is suspended, and he notifies the landfill staff, and the companies are no longer allowed to access the landfill until their account is brought current. And the final thing we do is, as I mentioned earlier, is if a company owes us money and they've also provided services for us, we net against what they owe us, the amount that we owe them. So we no longer pay their account. We just say if for example, if they owe us 10,000, we owe them 5, we net our 5 against their 10 and write it down to a $5,000 amount owing to us. And that helped us in the case of the account before you, because the amount that they owed us was $42,000. However, they owed us $28,000. That's how we got down to the net of $14,000 or $16,000 at the end. So that's just more or less for information for the council. But the motion right now is to write off the balance of the account owing by Bowman Waste Management Systems, Inc.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? All right. Okay. Okay, the Renfrew Town Council approved the write-off the outstanding account receivable from Bowman Waste Management Systems Unlimited in the amount of $16,314.52. Mover, please. Rebimo, seconded by Councillor Sidney. Again, any last questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. The Treasurer's Rally Report dated November 5th, 2020 concerning replacing server be received. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, second by Councillor Hines. Turn it over to Treasurer Rowley for this report.
Thank you once again, Mayor Eady. And I have to say that with sort of tongue in cheek, I had to give Deputy Clerk Charkavy a difficult time when the agenda first came out on Friday, because it said my report was to replace a sewer. Maybe that's an indication of good money after bad, but it is to in fact replace the main computer server for the municipality. This is the main device, and I gave in the background just a brief explanation of what a server is. We store the data that is shared amongst the various departments and computer users, and we do the daily backups to the server. And it's the workhorse, if you will, and then the computers on the various desks. And we have about 25 workstations. They share information back and forth through that computer server. That server will celebrate its 8th birthday next month. Typically, they are to last 5 years, 6 years on the outside with changing technology. So we've stretched it a bit. The report, when I wrote it, and as I mentioned to council at the end of October, was I was hoping to have 2 or 3 quotes in, but things seem to have slowed down in many of the industries due to COVID, and even trying to get a quotation for something takes a little bit longer than normal. I can report that as of today, we have 3 quotes. They range in price from, and this is the really good news because the budget was $30,000. So the price for the new server, including installation, is in fact, the one I'm going to recommend is just under $15,000. So it's about half the budgeted amount. It's a company called Neolore, Neolore, which we have dealt with in the past. We also received a quote directly from Dell Computers, and we also received a quote from a company called Zycom out of Ottawa. And we've also dealt with Zycom in the past as well. And the quotes ranged from $14,600 to $18,300. So there was a bit of a range there. I did have a phone consultation today with Paul Wren, who is our IT consultant for the town of Renfrew, and Paul's been involved with the town of Renfrew longer than I have, and he knows our systems. And he and I reviewed the quotes to make sure we were comparing apples to apples, and the quotes were, I would say, 98% identical as far as the content, very little fluctuation. So I'm quite comfortable in recommending that, in fact, the purchase be awarded to Neolore in the amount of $14,600 and change, including non-refundable HST. To the other thing that gets us is a computer with a full 7-year warranty. Most of them quoted 5 years, but the 7-year warranty only costs an additional $265. And I would recommend that we go with the 7-year warranty, because although the computer is supposed to last 5, the one that we currently have was supposed to be 5, and we're in year 8. And that's one of the difficulties, that support is no longer available for the existing one, and it's time to get it replaced. So it would be to replace what we have with the new system as quickly as possible, preferably prior to the end of the calendar year, and to move forward with that into the new year then.
Okay, any questions or comments on this?
Thank you, Your Worship. Wondering, then are are we going to amend this motion, or will we just have a follow-up report in the finance minutes at the end, at next month or something? Because this motion, I think, would cover it off, this, and then we could just bring it back through the minutes. But if you wish, we could amend the motion.
We can definitely amend the motion to reflect what Carrie O'Reilly had said.
Treasurer O'Reilly.
So the Deputy Clerk Charkavy, the motion should read that council authorized the replacement of the server from Neolor at a cost of $14,633.26, inclusive of non-refundable HST.
Okay, I have that down as the motion, sir.
That'll be the next motion. So, any questions on this motion? A little typo error she made there. That was my fault. I happened to be bothering her when she was doing that, and whatever. So I'll have to take the responsibility for that. Okay, the next motion then, if you wouldn't mind reading it, Jennifer, I appreciate it.
Okay, can I have that number again, Carrie, please?
$14,633.26.
Okay, sir, so the motion is that Renfrew Town Council authorize the replacement of the server from Neolor at a cost of $14,633.26, inclusive of non-refundable HST.
Okay. Need a mover, please. Revimo, second by Councillor Sidney. Any questions or comments? Revimo.
I'm sorry, but I thought I heard some figure quoted for an extended warranty or covering a warranty. Is that, do we want to make a separate motion, or you want to include that in there?
O'Reilly.
My recommendation, Revimo, was to include the recommendation includes the 7-year warranty. So that's the full price with the extra $263 in it. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, the Treasurer O'Reilly's report dated November the 5th, 2020, concerning the 2021 Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund OMPF allocations be received. A further Renfrew Town Council received the 2021 OMP report. Mover, please. Councillor Evans, seconded by Councillor Sidney. Turn it over to Treasurer O'Reilly again for the report.
This is the second year in a row that the province has come out with the OMPF funding announcement early in the process in November, as opposed to a couple of years ago when we used to get the announcement in March. And it really impacts the budget process. So they've made that commitment, and they've achieved it again, so that we know now, as we're partway through the 2021 budget process, that one line item, which is fairly significant in our revenue sources, we know what the number is, and it's good news in the sense that it's a 2.6% increase over the funding we got for 2020. In fact, for 2021, the town of Renfrew will receive OMPF funding of just short of $2.4 million. It's $2,395,600, which is great news and a good springboard to the budget process. The report then goes through and explains the various components of the grant, and the workbook that comes with it, I think this year was 17 pages long to show how they calculated our grant amount. Suffice to say that in the different components, and there's 5 components to the funding. The town is eligible for 3 out of the 5, and we pretty much maxed out what we could get there. And just as a notation at the bottom of the report, I did do a quick survey online of the Renfrew County municipalities. And in 2021, the funding will be in total across the entire all 17 municipalities, $213,000 more than what it was the previous year. But the range of percentage changes was quite significant, from a 15% reduction in one municipality, and the highest increase was 3.8% in another municipality, and we came in at 2.6. So we're in that positive range. In total of the 17 municipalities, 4 of them actually see a decline in their amount from the previous year. 2 have the exact same amount year over year, and the other 11 see an increase ranging from 0.1%, which is almost a break even, from 0.1% up to the 3.8 change. So there's quite a clustering in that very small increase range. So it's like I said, it is good news for the municipality. And this report is strictly for council information. There are no motions required as far as any report back to the ministry at this point in time.
Okay. Any questions or comments on this? Revimo.
Thank you. I have a Roma meeting Friday, and I'll bring it up again to ask them to start the process to have the province confirm it. I think most of us were aware or had hints that in August that there was not going to be any changes in the total package. There'd be some adjustments within the 500 million. And so I'm going to be suggesting on Friday that we start the process again to ensure that the OMPF funding remains the same or increased.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty. Thank you very much. All in favor? Carried. Okay. That the update to the proposed settlement lands municipal engagement and public and Aboriginal consultation report be received. Further, Revimo will be heard before council to speak about the updates. Mover, please. Councillor Jemison, second by Councillor Sidney. Turn over to Revimo for the report.
Great, thank you. And you'll see why normally I wouldn't bring this, but it does concern the town of Renfrew. So very quickly, if you go to page 3, the proposed package, there has been one new provincial park and one addition to an existing provincial park, and those will remain in provincial control. So that's of interest. Changes from 2017, which was the last time that we heard from the negotiator, Doug Carr. He came to county council with several MNR staff, or MNFR staff, sorry. So the changes, there's one new nation land parcel in the north. Several parcels were taken back into the provincial domain because they weren't as useful as they could be. Councillor Evans is aware of one of them. General trend towards consolidation of lands into larger parcels, so that the total number of parcels was reduced by 10%. An increase of approximately 3,000 acres to the proposed protected areas at Lake St. Peter and Crotch Lake. And item number, when you go to page 4, there are 43 municipalities in the land claim area. 12% new parcels. 12% of the parcels are new. 15% of the parcels were modified. 14% of the parcels were removed, and 59% remain unchanged. And page 5, new sites or additions. If you look down, the surplus OPP detachment in Renfrew is now added to the package. So that's the one I wanted to highlight. And removal or reductions, you look down, one's been 171 A and B in Herds Lake. I worked on those a number of years ago, so it takes a while to get those out of the package. So page 6, I'm sorry?
Can I stop you there for a question?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. The OPP detachment in Renfrew, that's the one out by
on Stewart Street.
Renfrew. Is that saying that they're taking that OPP station over? Is that what that means?
That means that they've asked for it to be included in the package, and at this point, it looks like the province is granting that request.
Okay, thank you.
Item page 6, it just talks about how the consultation has gone, and of the second last bullet point is that this single public-facing process addresses Ontario's legal obligations under the Environmental Assessment Act and mirrors the Planning Act. So that means that the lands that are turned over will be, and I think we have to keep stressing this, will be subject to zoning and land use planning. And the last bullet point the conservation and park reserve boundary amendments have been aligned with changes to the hunting regulations under the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Act. So there is a real effort to make sure that the properties and some of the regulations align to existing provincial policy statements and regulations. Additional consultation phases for this year, as you see, July 10, there was a mail out to all affected legal interest holders and landowners within 120 meters of negotiated adjustments. So all the new properties that were added or pieces added to the property owners around them were given notice. And then October 26th, the 45-day broad public mail out under and updates under ontario.ca. And then step 3 targeted for early 2021, a 30-day final notice and update to ontario.ca of the final environmental evaluation reports for the land packages, and second notice on the protected area boundary amendments if required. And finally, next steps, early 2021, complete the environmental assessment process subject to the Aboriginal consultation. In 2021 itself, engage to negotiate arrangements with legal interest holders on Crown lands. In 2022, implementation of planning in parallel with final negotiations. And then 2023, conclude the negotiations and the approval processes begin. So that, again, it's just to inform you of the inclusion of a parcel in our community. And then secondly, just a brief overview of what the process is and to assure council and our community that land use planning principles and regulations will be in effect for the parcels of land that will eventually form part of the agreement. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. I guess I always end up skipping this, but I should go to it. New or unfinished business. Anybody have anything? I have a couple items. Revimo.
Thank you, Your Worship. And it's to all committee chairs. If you are if you feel that your committee has a project or a concern about legislation, the end of the month is the delegation requests deadline for Roma conference coming up in January, so that you can be heard before potentially could be heard before a minister or parliamentary assistant or a senior staff person with the ministry itself. So just to let you know that they're accepting those, they're online. Our Waste Management Committee made a request to be heard, and you'll know probably the second week of January, so that gives you time to put your proposal together. But just as an information item for committee chairs and committee members.
Okay. Anything else? Chief Welch, did you have something?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. As I expressed to members of council, with the unfortunate cancellation of the Santa Claus parade, there was an opportunity. There were a couple of opportunities that were going to be lost, and a level of disappointment that would have been brought to the children of the town of Renfrew. The primary opportunity that they would have missed is the chance to get a visit, or at least a view of Santa prior to his impending arrival on the 25th of December, the evening of the 24th. The other opportunity that typically occurs during that parade is the fact that members of Canada Post will travel along the parade route and gather up the letters to Santa from the children of the town of Renfrew. So as we anticipated the potential cancellation, conversations have started with Canada Post, and they are quite pleased to partner with us for an event that we will be hosting here at the Fire Hall on Saturday, the 5th of December, from 3:30 until 5:30. Santa has graciously agreed to continue to have Renfrew in his schedule that day. He'll arrive a little earlier, and we will have him supported in our apparatus, our basket and our elevated apparatus outside the fire hall. And we are encouraging families within the town of Renfrew to have a socially distanced visit with Santa. We will have members of Canada Post and their supporters available to take the letters from the children as they drive by in their family cars with their family units, socially distant from everybody else so that we don't have any concerns with COVID. And any individuals that are walking by the fire hall that haven't got the opportunity to drive, we'll make sure that they have a chance to make their presence aware to Santa. Santa will observe them and comment back and greet them through their travels by the fire hall. And we also have the chance in this process to support one of our local charities that does benefit an awful lot at this time of year, the Kingston District Food Bank. We have always at the fire hall been a donation center for the food bank. We continue to support their efforts of gathering up the much needed supplies for families that aren't as food secure as they would want to be. And the day of this event on Saturday, the 5th of December, we'll have our donation box available for anybody that's stopping by, giving a wave to Santa, dropping off their letters. Anybody that wishes to make a donation, we'll have people available to accept those in a safe manner from those individuals. Sorry, I apologize. I think I may have said Kingston Food Bank. It is the Renfrew Food Bank. And the Renfrew Food Bank also has a program this time of year where they accept donations of new unwrapped gifts for individuals. I think it's called their Angel Gift Tree program. So they're looking for the opportunity for us to be part and parcel of accepting their community donations on their behalf. So we will be having Santa Claus available. We'll have the opportunity for the children of Renfrew to have a quick little visit, get a greeting from Santa, drop off their letters, which will be delivered through Canada Post to the North Pole, or Santa may take them with him that day to ensure that he has a chance to ensure he has understanding of the children's hopes and wishes for Christmas Day. And any of the opportunity to support our food bank will be provided for that day as well.
Okay, any questions or comments on this? Okay, well, I do. I think Chief Welch, this is a really, really nice gesture for our fire department to put forth, and you know, in conjunction with the post office, etc., and something different for the kids in town this year. At least it's something for them, and you know, I think it's a good news story, and we need these good news stories as much as possible. And anyways, all I can say is good luck to you, and I hope it goes really, really well. Merry Christmas.
I appreciate that, and any ray of sunshine that we can give to ensure that the children of Renfrew have a little bit of a brighter Christmas this time of year based on what they've gone through, I think is a great opportunity, and we at the Renfrew Fire are looking forward to helping Santa in his endeavors.
Yeah, and any of the media that may be listening to this or will be getting a hold of the YouTube file after, I would strongly urge you to advertise this as best you can in conjunction with Chief Welch. So thank you in advance.
Just if I may, Your Worship, one other opportunity for any individuals that aren't able to include that as part of their day's plans, we will be receiving those letters from the Renfrew and surrounding areas to Santa Claus here at the fire hall. And of course, we have always been and will continue to be a drop-off location for donations to the food bank. So I don't know that there might be another opportunity for any other communities to have Santa. I'm hoping that they do, but in just in case, we hope that everybody takes advantage of the chance to bring the kids by, have a quick little visit, and make sure that we get him on aware of everybody that belongs on the naughty list and the nice list. I'm confident that nice list is going to be good and long this year.
That's great. Okay, anything else? New business. Okay, any other new business from anyone else? Okay, I had a couple things. Number one, tomorrow, it sounds like 11:40 is the time. There's going to be a flyby in Renfrew from, at first we thought it was jets. Now I think it's the big Chinook helicopters. And they're going to be flying fairly low through Renfrew. They're coming from the west to east. So it's something to maybe look forward to tomorrow. Nice day, it'd be a nice day to be standing outside and having a look at that. And that's, again, great for the children if they happen to be home, something to see. The other thing I just want to mention briefly, this COVID-19 situation that we're in. unfortunately, and this kind of rang a bell with me because time flies, and Emo and I were out at Renfrew County Place presentations of paramedics, and he happened to mention me. He said, "I think this is the first time I've seen you since March." And my God, you know, when you think about it, that's like 8 months ago, and you know, it's been somewhere between cruel and trying, I guess you could say, 8 months in a lot of ways. I know myself personally, because of the emergency management plan, it's my responsibility as a mayor to sit on that committee on COVID. And anyway, I'd give that job to anybody in a second if they wanted it. But at the end of the day, that's part of my personal job, and I have to do it. And I just want to say, on behalf of our department heads, they put together an awful pile of their personal time to do this. You know, they were instructed by Renfrew County Health Unit, the province of Ontario, and Renfrew County Health Unit, not anything to do, not their fault, but many times they change their mind time and time again. And so they have to adhere to that, and it's very trying for them. But in saying that, we had maybe some good news yesterday talking about a vaccine coming, etc. But it certainly looks like it's going to be a long winter. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be looking at each other on Zoom for quite some time. Unfortunately, I just saying to one of the staff today that, my God, I miss the regular meetings. You know, you go there and you see people and you visit a little bit and have a laugh or two and whatever. This COVID thing just seems so darn cold, and it's just not. Well, I think we all agree it's just not the same. So hopefully we'll get back to something closer to normal down the road. But anyway, just the word out there is right now we've had about approximately 100 more cases starting going back to about, well, I think we had 25 September 1st, and I think we're up to 113 now. And a lot of them cases were around Renfrew. So if you're talking to your neighbors, I said, we got to be vigilant, and it's our responsibility as a council to try and keep people safe if we possibly can. So anyway, I know our staff have done a great job, and I think we've done it with very little inconvenience to people. You know, just as an example, the town office being closed, you know, the landfill site being closed, etc. So we've come through it pretty good in that respect. But I think we're better off than maybe a good number of other municipalities. But going back, and I think about it, the very first meeting we had was on the COVID meeting we had was on March 13th, and that was we were a couple of days ahead of the curve there. Had pretty well everything shut down and ran through the following week, and it proved out for a long time. We've kept people safe in the town. So I'm not saying it was all us that did that. The people themselves were very good. And so at the end of the day, that's, you know, I don't know. It doesn't really mean too much what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's been trying, and it's been trying for everybody, not just for myself, but every council member. You know, I've heard it time and time again. I want to get back to regular meetings, etc. And you know, so anyway, we'll just keep working at it, and I guess we'll get through it eventually. So thank you. Okay. The next motion, the Renfrew Town Council, pursuant to section 18.2 of the procedural bylaw number 34/2011, as amended, consent to the addition of the following closed session item, Renfrew Innovation Center. Mover, please. Councillor Allison, second by Councillor Hines. Okay. Any comments? Revimo.
My apologies. I thought we're talking about the library as opposed to Renfrew Innovation Center.
The library is on the agenda. This is an added item.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. No, that's just an addition.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. Okay, pursuant to section 239(2)K of the Municipal Act 2001, a position plan procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by, on behalf of municipality or local board. More specifically, to discuss the Renfrew Public Library Board's intention of investigating an alternative service model with the Greater Madawaska Public Library Board. Pursuant to section 239(2)E, the
Are we
municipal.
supposed to be live, sir?
Sorry?
Are we enclosed right now?
Yes.
We are still live on YouTube.
We appear to be still live.
This is the motion.
We're reading the motion to go
Okay,
into
sorry, I thought
closed.
we already went in. My bad. Thanks.
Yeah, we're reading the motion to go into closed. So more specifically, to discuss the Renfrew Public Library Board's intention of investigating an alternative service model with Greater Madawaska Public Library Board. Pursuant to 239(2)E of the Municipal Act 2001, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, more specifically to discuss Renfrew Innovation Center. Those two items. We need a mover, please. Councillor Sidney, second by Councillor Evans. All in favor? We're now in closed. So we turn it over.
Okay, just give me one moment.